Resembling the Son, Hebrews 7, 2 and 3. In the book of Hebrews, the writer himself, he sent out this letter to many Hebrews believers, and they were really considering about dropping their faith in Christ. One reason is because they were tired of waiting on God to change things from how they were under the old covenant to how they are now in the new covenant. And time, it was just going by so slowly, and they were waiting and tired of it. So that's one reason that the letter was written to them and to us. It was written to show us that Abraham, he waited patiently, and then he was successful in receiving God's promise. God promised Abraham, what was it? Well, he promised him, he said, I will bless you with many, many children. Now, the promise to Abraham is the same as the hope that we have in Christ and the gospel. This hope, what does it mean? Well, it means that we can look forward to knowing for sure that we have salvation in Christ. The hope that Christ himself is our high priest and he is elevated to the rank of Melchizedek. Christ himself is a priest eternally. So is Melchizedek. Now Melchizedek himself, was he eternal? Well, Hebrews 7:3, it says that he didn't have a father or mother. There's no genealogy about him. This genealogy, what it means is it's a list of things like your grandparents, going back through the years, children that were born to you, a whole list of names. And Melchizedek, this genealogy, he didn't have any, there was nothing written down. No starting to his life, there was no ending, nothing about his death, nothing. Silent in the Bible about that. Doesn't say anything, only his name. And the same as Christ. Christ continues as our eternal priest. Now Christ, he is in this priesthood eternally. And we can know for sure that the salvation that he offers is real. Okay, now the person that wrote Hebrews, the letter, they wanted to show the comparison of Christ and Melchizedek. They both had an eternal priesthood. Now, Melchizedek, what did he do? Well, we learn a lot about him through typology. And what typology is itself, it's a way that the New Testament writers, that they would use to interpret how things happened in the Old Testament. They would take things from the Old Testament, for example, people, things that happened, stories, things that happened like that, into people, and they would interpret it into the New Testament. A perfect example is between Melchizedek and Christ in Hebrews 7 and Genesis 14. Now, in Hebrews 7:2, we learn that Melchizedek, his name, what it means is that he is the king of righteousness. And it's from two Hebrews words. One is Melech, and it means king, and one is Zedek, and it means righteousness. Now, Melchizedek was known as the king of righteousness and peace. Who else? Well, Melchizedek points to Christ in that way. Christ is the king of peace and righteousness. Christ is qualified to become part of the line of Melchizedek. Now we have learned through Hebrews 7:3 many details about Christ. Well, we've learned that Melchizedek and Christ both didn't have a mother or father, didn't have a beginning, didn't have an end. Melchizedek, did he not have a mother, father, not born or died? No, of course. Let me explain about this. Well, in Hebrews, the writer wanted to make a point about this comparison. So what he did is he took Moses' writing in Genesis and he added nothing to it. He took it exactly what it said. Moses wrote that there was no genealogy for Melchizedek. Only his name. That's right, nothing else. You look and you see nothing else. So Moses had wrote only that down. Did he write down that he died? No. But of course Melchizedek had a mother and father. Of course he died and he was born. But the point that was trying to make, that was written down, is to understand the comparison between Christ and Melchizedek. In Genesis 14, Melchizedek points to Christ. Are Melchizedek and Christ equal? No, definitely not. Christ is way above. And the reason is because he has a holy nature. It's natural. He's the only one. Was he born? Did he die? Never. Christ is an eternal being. He is the Alpha and the Omega. And this means that he started from eternity and he will continue through eternity. Okay, now how do we apply this to our life? Well, the comparison of Christ and Melchizedek, sometimes it's easy for us to focus on the person like Melchizedek instead of Christ. Should we do that? No, it's the other way around. In Hebrews 7:3, it emphasizes that Melchizedek pointed to Christ. Sometimes we know strong, godly people, and we want to compare Christ to them, and we shouldn't do that. We should compare them to Christ. We need to copy Christ, not Melchizedek. Now this vlog here is the second one, and Monday will be the third one. And Monday's is very interesting. It's about Abraham's tithes. Now, they were required to give a tithe by law. They were supposed to give 1/10, and this was to the Levites. But no requirement of giving a tithe to Melchizedek, yet Abraham did this. We'll learn about it in the vlog. Coram Deo.